As we age, we accumulate not just years, but wisdom. However, wisdom is not just about knowing what to say, it's also about knowing what not to say. The words we choose to share with our family can shape relationships for years, sometimes in ways we never intended. If you have ever said something in a moment of vulnerability or frustration and later regretted it, you are not alone. Many elders look back and wish they had kept certain thoughts to themselves, not because those thoughts were false, but because they disrupted the harmony of their relationships. In today's video, we will explore 5 things that a wise person should keep to themselves to maintain dignity, peace, and respect in their later years. This is not about deceit, but about understanding the delicate balance of relationships. Before we begin, if you find value in this content, please like this video and subscribe to Buddhist Mindfulness for more wisdom on living a fulfilling and peaceful life. Now, let's dive in. Number 1, regrets from the past. The unnecessary burden on loved ones. One of the heaviest burdens in life is regret. As we age, it is natural to reflect on past decisions, opportunities missed, words unspoken, mistakes made. While self-reflection can be a powerful tool for personal growth, continuously voicing regrets, especially to loved ones, can have unintended consequences. Many older adults share their regrets as a way of processing their emotions or offering guidance to younger generations. However, the way these reflections are communicated can either uplift or weigh down those who hear them. This article explores the impact of sharing regrets, the psychological effects on family members, and how to transform regret into wisdom rather than an emotional burden. The emotional weight of regrets on loved ones. When an elder repeatedly expresses regrets about their past, it can create an emotional burden for their loved ones. While it might feel like an honest reflection or even a cautionary tale, these statements can lead to unintended guilt, anxiety, or even resentment in those who hear them. Imagine a father telling his children, "I wish I had chosen a different career." While this statement might seem harmless, it can cause emotional distress. The child might start questioning their own career choices, feeling pressure to avoid making similar mistakes. They might even begin to view their father's entire life as a regret, leading to feelings of sadness or guilt. Similarly, if a mother frequently expresses regret about a past relationship, her children might feel like their existence is a byproduct of a mistake. This can lead to deep emotional wounds, creating uncertainty about their worth and place in the family. John, a retired school principal, often told his daughter how he wished he had become a lawyer instead. He would say, "I think I made a mistake staying in education. If I had pursued law, I could have had a better life." At first, his daughter listened with empathy, but over time, she started doubting her own career in education. If her father regretted his choice, was she also making a mistake? Was she destined to feel the same regret years down the line? What was meant to be a personal reflection unknowingly planted seeds of self-doubt in the next generation. Regrets shared within a marriage or long-term relationship can also cause tension. A spouse who constantly reminisces about the one that got away or how life could have been different had they taken a different path might unintentionally make their partner feel unappreciated. Statements like, "I should have traveled more when I was young," or "I regret not investing in real estate earlier," can create an underlying sense of dissatisfaction, making the present moment feel inadequate. Over time, this can weaken emotional connections and create feelings of insecurity or resentment in the relationship. Why do people dwell on regrets? Regret is a universal human experience, but why do some people dwell on it more than others? 1. Unresolved emotions. People often express regret as a way to seek validation or comfort. Talking about regrets may feel like a way to release the emotional weight of past decisions. 2. Desire for meaning. As people age, they naturally reflect on their lives to find meaning and purpose. Regrets often emerge from this introspection. 3. Fear of mortality. Knowing that time is limited, some people focus on what they could have done differently rather than appreciating what they have achieved. 4. Perceived lack of control. If an individual feels they can no longer change their circumstances, they may dwell on regrets as a way to make sense of their situation. While these reasons are understandable, dwelling on regrets does not change the past, it only diminishes the present. Instead of voicing regrets in a way that burdens loved ones, they can be reframed as lessons. This subtle shift can turn painful experiences into valuable insights without creating unnecessary guilt or sadness. How to share wisdom instead of regret. 1. Turn regrets into lessons. Instead of saying, I regret not saving more money, try, one of the most valuable lessons I've learned is the importance of financial planning. I'd love to share what I've discovered with you. By shifting the wording, the same reflection becomes a constructive and empowering message. 2. Emphasize what you have learned, not what you have lost. Instead of, I should have spent more time with my children when they were young, try, I now realize how precious family time is, and I want to make the most of the time we have now. This approach focuses on the present and future rather than dwelling on the past. Number 3, encourage others without projecting personal regrets. Instead of, I regret not pursuing my dreams, try, I admire how you're following your dreams. It's inspiring to see you take risks I never did. This validates the younger generation's choices without burdening them with past regrets. 4. Acknowledge gratitude alongside regret. If sharing a regret, balance it with gratitude. For example, I used to wish I had traveled more, but looking back, I'm grateful for the meaningful relationships I built by staying close to family. This reminds loved ones that life is a mix of choices, and each path has its own rewards. Beyond how regrets affect loved ones, holding on to them is also harmful to the person experiencing them. Chronic regret can lead to stress, anxiety, and even depression. It keeps individuals stuck in the past rather than appreciating the life they have now. How to let go of regret. 1. Practice self-compassion. Recognize that you made the best decision you could with the knowledge and resources you had at the time. No one has perfect foresight. 2. Focus on what can be changed. If regret stems from a lost opportunity, find ways to engage with it now. If you regret not learning an instrument, start now. If you regret not traveling, plan a trip, even if it's local. Live in the present. Mindfulness practices, such as meditation or gratitude journaling, can help anchor you in the present, reducing the grip of past regrets. 4. Share stories of growth, not just mistakes. When sharing life lessons, focus on how you overcame challenges rather than just the pain of mistakes. This fosters resilience in both yourself and those who hear your stories. A life well lived is not one free of mistakes, but one that embraces those mistakes as stepping stones to wisdom. The way we speak about our past shapes how future generations view their own journeys. By transforming regret into insight, we leave behind a legacy of strength and guidance rather than guilt and sorrow. Instead of burdening loved ones with the weight of what could have been, we can inspire them with the lessons of what is possible. Ultimately, the greatest gift we can give our families is not a list of our regrets, but the wisdom, love, and presence we offer them today. Number 2, financial matters, the double-edged sword of transparency. Money has a unique power. It can bring people together, but it can also drive them apart. Financial transparency is a delicate balancing act, especially in family relationships. While honesty about money matters fosters trust, oversharing can lead to stress, misunderstandings, and even resentment. The key lies in knowing when and how to discuss financial matters in a way that promotes wisdom without creating unnecessary burdens. Money conversations within a family can influence relationships, responsibilities, and expectations. Some elders feel the need to share every financial detail with their children, while others prefer to keep their finances private. Each approach comes with its benefits and drawbacks. 1. The burden of financial struggles. When elders frequently discuss their financial struggles, it can create unintended stress for their children. Many adult children, out of love and a sense of duty, feel compelled to provide financial support, even if it strains their own finances. Over time, this can lead to feelings of resentment or burnout. Linda, a retired nurse, was open about her financial struggles. Her eldest son, Tom, felt obligated to send money monthly, even though he had a young family to support. Over time, Tom grew resentful, feeling financially trapped. Eventually, he started avoiding his mother's calls because each conversation seemed to revolve around money. Lesson: instead of discussing financial struggles in detail, elders can focus on sharing financial wisdom. General advice on budgeting, saving, and planning for retirement can help children without making them feel burdened. 2. The risks of wealth transparency. On the flip side, openly discussing one's wealth can create entitlement, jealousy, or unrealistic expectations within the family. When children know their parents have substantial savings, some may feel less inclined to work hard, assuming they will receive financial support or inheritance. Others may become resentful, believing that wealth is being distributed unfairly. Robert, a successful businessman, frequently talked about his investments and assets. His youngest daughter, Anna, assumed she would inherit a large sum and thus avoided making long-term financial plans of her own. When Robert later decided to donate a portion of his wealth to charity, Anna was devastated, feeling betrayed by expectations she had built over the years. Lesson: while it's important for family members to have some awareness of financial planning, sharing excessive details about wealth can lead to dependency, entitlement, or conflict. Instead of focusing on numbers, families should emphasize financial independence and responsible money management. Money is more than just numbers, it carries emotional weight. The way financial matters are discussed in a family can impact self-esteem, stress levels, and relationships. Number one, the psychological toll of financial stress. For elders, financial insecurity can lead to anxiety and fear about the future. When they frequently express these worries to their children, it can create a cycle of stress that affects the entire family. Adult children may feel guilty about their financial stability compared to their parents, leading to internal conflict. Solution: elders should seek financial counseling or support networks instead of placing the emotional burden on their children. A well-planned budget and saving strategy can alleviate fears without passing stress onto loved ones. Number two, money and family expectations. Cultural and societal norms play a role in how money is perceived within families. In some cultures, it is expected that children will financially support their aging parents, while in others, independence is encouraged. When these expectations are not clearly communicated, it can lead to misunderstandings and resentment. Solution: open but structured discussions about financial responsibilities can help align expectations. Instead of making assumptions, families should have respectful conversations about how support will be managed, ensuring fairness for all parties involved. While complete transparency has risks, secrecy can also create problems. Striking a balance is crucial. Here are some practical approaches to discussing financial matters wisely within the family. 1. Focus on financial education rather than specific numbers. Instead of sharing exact income, savings, or debt figures, families can discuss general financial principles, the importance of budgeting, planning for emergencies, managing debt responsibly, saving for retirement. This approach fosters financial literacy without creating unnecessary pressure or expectations. 2. Set boundaries for financial support. When family members ask for financial assistance, it's important to set clear boundaries. Offering occasional help is different from creating dependency. Instead of immediate handouts, consider alternative ways to assist, such as helping with financial planning, suggesting budgeting tools, offering short-term structured loans with clear repayment plans. 3. Discuss inheritance and estate planning thoughtfully. Many family conflicts arise from unclear inheritance expectations. To avoid disputes, have a structured discussion about estate planning. Ensure legal documents, wills, trusts are in place. Communicate wishes openly, but with fairness. This prevents misunderstandings and ensures that wealth is distributed according to the elders' wishes without causing family strife. 4. Encourage financial independence. Both parents and children benefit from financial independence. Parents should avoid relying too heavily on children for support, and children should not expect parents to provide beyond their means. Encouraging self-sufficiency reduces financial tensions and fosters healthier relationships. Financial transparency is neither inherently good nor bad. It depends on how it is managed. Oversharing financial struggles can create stress and resentment, while excessive openness about wealth can lead to entitlement or jealousy. The best approach is a balanced one, sharing financial wisdom, setting clear boundaries, and fostering independence while maintaining trust and respect within the family. By discussing money matters thoughtfully and strategically, families can cultivate financial harmony and ensure that money remains a tool for support rather than a source of division. Number 3, Negative opinions about family members. Words that divide. Family relationships are among the most significant and enduring connections in our lives. They provide love, support, and a sense of belonging. However, these relationships are not without their challenges. One of the most common issues that can lead to lasting rifts within a family is the expression of negative opinions about family members. Words, once spoken, cannot be taken back. They have the power to build or break relationships. It's natural to form opinions about our relatives, whether it's a sibling's life choices, a cousin's financial habits, or a parent's approach to grandparenting. While having opinions is normal, voicing them in a critical or judgmental way can lead to resentment, distance, and deep-seated wounds. This article explores the dangers of openly sharing negative opinions about family members, the impact these words can have, and how we can communicate with wisdom, compassion, and discretion. Words carry tremendous weight, especially within a family. Positive words can foster love, understanding, and connection, while negative words can sow discord and division. Families often have a long history together, and hurtful comments can accumulate over time, leading to lasting damage. Psychologists have found that criticism, when not constructive, can erode relationships. Dr. John Gottman, a relationship expert, identifies criticism as one of the four horsemen that predict relationship breakdowns. When a family member consistently voices negative opinions about another, it can create a toxic environment where trust and respect erode. David was excited to be a grandfather, but he often found himself disagreeing with how his daughter-in-law, Lisa, raised his grandchildren. He openly criticized her parenting style, making remarks about her choices regarding discipline, nutrition, and education. At first, his son Mark tried to mediate, but he soon found himself torn between his father and his wife. He wanted to maintain a close relationship with his dad, but he also needed to support his wife and protect his family's harmony. Over time, Mark and Lisa decided to limit their visits to avoid the constant criticism. David, who had only wanted what was best for his grandchildren, found himself seeing them less and less. His words had created an unintended consequence. Instead of fostering a loving bond, they had pushed his family away. David's situation is not unique. Many families experience tension due to unsolicited criticism. Here are some key takeaways from his story. 1. Words can drive a wedge between family members. Criticizing a family member's choices, especially in areas as personal as parenting, can make them feel judged and unappreciated. 2. People will protect their immediate family. Mark ultimately prioritized his wife and children over his father, as most spouses would in a healthy marriage. 3. Unsolicited advice often backfires. Even if well-intended, constant criticism make others defensive and resistant to change. 4. The importance of discretion. Before voicing an opinion, ask, is saying this going to improve the situation or just create tension? The impact of negative opinions. 1. Eroding trust and respect. When a family member frequently expresses negative opinions, it can lead to a breakdown in trust. The criticized person may feel undervalued and disrespected, making them less likely to seek out that family member's company or advice. 2. Creating emotional distance. Criticism can make people feel defensive or attacked. Over time, this can cause them to withdraw emotionally or physically, reducing the warmth and closeness of family relationships. 3. Fueling long-term resentment. Negative words, even if spoken in the heat of the moment, can linger in a person's memory for years. What might have been intended as a passing comment can be replayed in the mind of the recipient, deepening resentment. 4. Encouraging family conflicts. When one family member is vocal about their negative, it can encourage others to take sides, leading to factions within the family. This division can make family gatherings tense and uncomfortable. There are times when expressing an opinion is necessary, such as when a family member's behavior is harmful to themselves or others. However, the way we communicate these concerns can make all the difference. Here are some strategies for offering constructive feedback. 1. Use the sandwich approach. When delivering difficult feedback, start with a positive statement, address the concern, and end with another positive statement. For example, I love how much you care about your children. I've noticed that they seem really upset after being disciplined, and I wonder if there's a way to help them understand the lesson without making them feel bad. You're doing such a great job raising them, and I know you always have their best interests at heart. This approach softens the criticism and makes the other person more receptive. 2. Ask, don't assume. Before offering an opinion, ask if it's wanted. For example, would you be open to hearing my thoughts on this? If they decline, respect their boundary. Forcing opinions on someone who isn't ready to hear them can create resentment. 3. Focus on your feelings. Not blame instead of saying, you're doing this wrong. Try, feel concerned when I see this happening because. This shifts the conversation from accusation to understanding. 4. Choose the right time and place. Sensitive conversations should be private and well-timed. Avoid airing grievances in front of others, especially during family gatherings where emotions may already be heightened. 5. Accept that others have different perspectives. Every person's life experiences shape their choices. Just because someone does something differently doesn't mean it's wrong. Accepting diversity in approaches to parenting, career choices, and lifestyle decisions can help maintain peace in the family. Practicing discretion, knowing when to stay silent. In many cases, the best choice is to remain silent. Ask yourself, is this issue truly important, or am I just reacting emotionally? Will saying this improve the relationship, or will it cause more harm? Am I offering advice because I want to help or because I want to feel right? Sometimes the most powerful action is to lead by example. If you believe a family member is making a mistake, showing patience, support, and wisdom may influence them more than direct criticism ever could. Family relationships are precious, and they require care and respect to flourish. While it's natural to have opinions about our relatives, voicing them in a negative or critical manner can create lasting divisions. By practicing discretion, choosing words carefully, and focusing on maintaining harmony, we can foster stronger, more loving family bonds. Before speaking, pause and reflect. Will these words bring us closer together or push us further apart? Often, silence or carefully chosen words of encouragement can be the key to preserving the relationships that matter most. Number 4, health problems, the fine line between awareness and overburdening. Aging brings with it many changes, and among them, health issues often take center stage. As we grow older, our bodies naturally require more attention, and discussing health concerns becomes a regular part of life. However, there is a delicate balance between keeping loved ones informed and overwhelming them with constant discussions about ailments. Too much focus on health problems can alter the way family and friends perceive an elderly person. Instead of being viewed as a source of wisdom, guidance, and love, they may become primarily seen as someone who is frail or constantly unwell. This shift in perception can affect relationships, leading to unintended emotional distance. In this article, we will explore the importance of striking the right balance, how to communicate health concerns effectively without burdening loved ones, the psychological effects of illness-centered conversations, and practical ways to maintain meaningful and enriching relationships despite health struggles. The emotional and psychological impact of health-focused conversations. For many older adults, discussing health problems serves multiple purposes. It can be a way to seek comfort, express frustration, or even connect with others through shared experiences. When someone is in pain or dealing with chronic conditions, it is only natural to want acknowledgement and support. However, constantly talking about health issues can reinforce a negative self-image. When an elder sees themselves primarily through the lens of their ailments, they may start to feel like their identity is reduced to just being the sick one. This can lead to increased feelings of isolation, depression, and loss of self-worth. For family members, particularly adult children balancing careers, raising families, and managing their own health, hearing frequent updates about a loved one's ailments can be emotionally taxing. While they genuinely care, they may start to feel helpless, guilty, or even frustrated if they perceive that they can do little to improve the situation. When interactions become centered on health struggles, relationships may shift from deep, meaningful connections to routine check-ins based on obligation rather than genuine engagement. This can lead to avoidance or shorter, less fulfilling conversations, leaving both parties feeling unsatisfied. To maintain strong and positive relationships, it is essential to share health concerns in a way that fosters support without overwhelming others. Here are some strategies to achieve this balance. 1. Prioritize meaningful conversations. Instead of leading every conversation with a health update, try integrating other topics that bring joy and connection. Share stories from the past, discuss books, movies, or current events, and ask about the lives of loved ones. This creates a richer, more engaging interaction. For example, instead of starting a call with, "I had another bad night with my arthritis," try, "I was thinking about the time we took that family trip to the beach. Do you remember how funny that was?" This shift in focus brings warmth and nostalgia, setting a positive tone for the conversation. 2. Frame health updates with positivity. There is a difference between expressing struggles and dwelling on them. Instead of saying, "I'm always in pain," try, "I've had some tough days, but I'm managing, and I'm grateful for the good moments." This reframing allows for honest communication without making the illness the focal point of identity. 3. Set boundaries for medical conversations. While it is essential to keep close family informed about serious health developments, it is equally important to avoid excessive repetition of minor complaints. One way to do this is to set specific times to discuss health updates, such as during a scheduled check-in call with a primary caregiver rather than bringing up ailments in every conversation. 4. Use humor and lightheartedness. Humor can be a powerful tool in managing difficult situations. Sharing a lighthearted perspective on a health issue can make discussions more engaging. For example, rather than saying, "I'm on so many medications, I don't even know what's what anymore," you might joke, "I think I've turned into a walking pharmacy." A little humor can go a long way in keeping conversations uplifting. Number 5, stay engaged in life beyond illness. One way to avoid being defined by health problems is to stay involved in activities that bring joy and purpose. Engaging in hobbies, volunteer work, or social groups helps shift focus from illness to life's richness. When there are more experiences to share, conversations naturally become more diverse and engaging. 6. Express gratitude and appreciation. Instead of only discussing struggles, take moments to express appreciation for the presence and support of loved ones. Saying, "I'm so grateful for our conversations. They always brighten my day," reinforces positivity and strengthens relationships. Margaret, a widow in her 70s, loved her children deeply. As she aged, she found herself frequently talking about her various health issues, her arthritis, trouble sleeping, and frequent doctor visits. While her children were concerned, they started to feel overwhelmed and powerless to help. Um, Gradually, their conversations became shorter and visits less frequent, as they found it difficult to engage in meaningful discussions beyond her ailments. One day, Margaret's daughter gently suggested that they talk about something other than health. She encouraged Margaret to share stories about her past, books she was reading, and the wisdom she had gained over the years. Margaret took this advice to heart and started diversifying their conversations. She still shared important health updates, but also made space for humor, memories, and discussions about life's beauty. As a result, her relationships with her children deepened, and they began looking forward to their calls again. Aging and health concerns are inevitable, but they should not define a person's identity or relationships. By balancing health discussions with joy, wisdom, and meaningful engagement, older adults can maintain deep and fulfilling connections with their loved ones. Rather than allowing illness to be the central narrative, shifting focus to resilience, gratitude, and shared experiences fosters stronger emotional bonds. As Margaret's story illustrates, small adjustments in communication can make a profound difference in how relationships evolve over time. By embracing this balanced approach, elderly individuals can ensure they are seen not just as patients, but as valued family members, storytellers, and cherished sources of love and wisdom. Number 5, deep personal fears, the emotional toll on loved ones. Aging is a journey filled with wisdom and reflection, yet it also brings forth profound personal fears. Fears of loneliness, financial insecurity, declining health, and becoming a burden on loved ones. While these fears are natural, the way they are expressed can have unintended consequences. When voiced repeatedly or in a way that instills guilt, they can place emotional strain on family members, leading to stress, anxiety, and even resentment. Understanding the depth of these fears and finding constructive ways to address them is essential for maintaining loving, healthy relationships. 1. The fear of being left alone. One of the most common fears among older adults is the fear of abandonment. Many worry about being placed in a nursing home, feeling isolated, or losing close connections with family and friends. This fear often stems from past experiences, cultural influences, or witnessing others go through similar situations. Robert, a retired teacher in his late 70s, frequently voiced his fear of being abandoned in a nursing home. He would often tell his daughter, "I know one day you'll leave me in a facility, and I'll just sit there waiting to die." While his concern was real, his way of expressing it placed a heavy emotional burden on his daughter, Sarah. She began questioning her own career choices, wondering if she should quit her job to care for him full time. The result, both father and daughter suffered. Robert felt increasingly anxious, and Sarah experienced stress and guilt, torn between her responsibilities and her love for her father. Instead of expressing fear through blame or negativity, Robert could reframe his concern into something constructive. Instead of saying, "I'm afraid of being left alone," he could say, "I value our time together, and I'd love to plan regular visits to stay connected." This small shift fosters love instead of fear, reassuring loved ones while keeping communication open and positive. Number 2, the fear of financial instability. Financial concerns are another major source of anxiety for older adults. Many worry about outliving their savings, the rising costs of healthcare, or becoming financially dependent on their children. Expressing these concerns in a way that induces guilt can put family members under immense pressure. Margaret, a widow in her 80s, often told her son, "I don't want to be a burden, but I don't know how I'll afford my medical bills." Although her concern was valid, her words made her son feel obligated to take on additional financial responsibility, even when it strained his own budget. This led to resentment and avoidance, as he felt helpless in meeting both his mother's needs and his own family's financial obligations. A more constructive way for Margaret to express her concern would be to ask for practical guidance. "I'd love your help in reviewing my budget to ensure I can manage my expenses well." This invites collaboration rather than obligation, making her son feel empowered rather than pressured. The fear of declining health. Aging inevitably brings health challenges, and many older adults fear losing their independence due to illness or disability. However, repeatedly voicing fears of deteriorating health can lead to excessive worry among family members and sometimes even self-fulfilling prophecies of decline. John, a retired mechanic, constantly talked about how he was getting too old to do anything and would probably end up in a wheelchair soon. His pessimism caused his children to treat him as more fragile than he actually was, reducing his motivation to stay active. Over time, his decreased mobility wasn't just due to aging, but also to the psychological impact of his own words and the excessive caution of his family. Instead of focusing on inevitable decline, John could have said, "I know my body is changing, but I'd love to stay as active as possible. Maybe we can find ways to exercise together." This mindset shift promotes resilience and encouragement rather than fear. The fear of losing purpose. Many seniors struggle with a loss of identity after retirement, especially if they define themselves by their careers or roles as caregivers. Without a clear sense of purpose, they may express their fears through statements like, "I don't feel useful anymore," or "No one needs me now." These words can deeply affect loved ones, making them feel responsible for restoring the elder's sense of purpose. Linda, a former nurse, often told her granddaughter, "I feel like I have no purpose now that I'm not working." This placed an emotional burden on her granddaughter, who felt guilty for not spending more time with her. Eventually, her granddaughter started avoiding long conversations because she felt overwhelmed by the responsibility of making her grandmother feel valued. Linda could have reframed her concern into a proactive request. "I miss being helpful to others. Maybe I can share some of my nursing knowledge with younger students or volunteer somewhere." This shifts the focus from loss to opportunity, allowing loved ones to offer support without feeling burdened. 5. The fear of being a burden. Perhaps the most universal fear among aging individuals is the fear of becoming a burden. No one wants to feel like an obligation, yet expressing this fear in an unhealthy way through frequent apologies or avoidance can make loved ones feel unappreciated rather than loved. David, an elderly man with mobility issues, would constantly say, "I hate being a burden on you," whenever his daughter helped him with simple tasks. While he intended to show gratitude, his words made his daughter feel like her care was an unwanted obligation rather than an act of love. Over time, this created emotional distance rather than closeness. David could instead say, "I really appreciate all that you do for me. It means a lot to me." This small change acknowledges his daughter's efforts without making her feel pressured or guilty. Fear is a natural part of aging, but how it is communicated makes all the difference. Here are some key takeaways. Reframe fear into appreciation. Instead of focusing on negative outcomes, highlight the value of relationships and shared time. Invite collaboration, not guilt. Rather than expressing concerns as obligations, phrase them as invitations for joint problem solving. Encourage open dialogue. Families should create safe spaces for honest conversations about aging concerns without inducing stress or guilt. Focus on solutions. When addressing fears, look for proactive steps that can ease anxiety rather than dwelling on worst case scenarios. Recognize the impact of words. The way concerns are expressed can either strengthen relationships or create emotional barriers. Aging with grace involves not just accepting change, but also fostering healthy emotional connections with loved ones. By expressing fears constructively, older adults can maintain dignity, independence, and meaningful relationships while reducing unnecessary stress on their families. When fear is replaced with love, appreciation, and open communication, the journey of aging becomes less about loss and more about continued growth and connection. There's immense power in choosing what to share and what to keep private. Discretion is not about secrecy or emotional detachment, but about understanding the impact of our words and how they shape our relationships, self perception, and overall well being. True wisdom lies in knowing that while honesty is valuable, not every truth needs to be spoken at all times. Sharing every thought, fear, or struggle may not always lead to connection or understanding. Instead of dwelling on regrets, focus on sharing the lessons you have learned. Rather than discussing financial difficulties, impart financial wisdom that can help others navigate challenges. Instead of criticizing, practice mindful restraint and speak with kindness. When it comes to health concerns, emphasize resilience, gratitude, and the power of positive connections. Rather than voicing every fear or insecurity, cultivate trust and reassurance in yourself and others. Discretion allows us to preserve our inner peace and protect our energy. By being intentional with our words, we nurture relationships, inspire growth, and cultivate wisdom. If you found this video insightful, please like and subscribe to Buddhist Mindfulness for more content on wisdom, mindfulness, and emotional well-being. What are your thoughts on this topic? Share them in the comments below. Remember, true wisdom is not just in what we know, but in how we share it.